Thiru was born on 8 July 1965 in Newlands, South Africa, to Raju and Manny, two proud but very confused parents. When they saw their baby for the first time, they blinked, then blinked again. "Why is he so fair?" Manny whispered. "Did the hospital do a swap?" Raju asked. They didn't. Thiru was just rocking the complexion of a British colonial officer. Originally named Danpal, the name didn't seem to agree with him. The poor boy kept falling sick, and eventually the elders consulted the stars. So Danpal became, wait for it, Tirunama Puthiran, 17 letters. A name so long, even the family goat gave up trying to bleat it. Thankfully, everyone called him Thiru. When Thiru was around 3 years old, he just casually jumped on a bus from Newlands to Palok with the workers Kunu and Ray. Nobody knew. He came back hours later, lollipop in hand, like it was no big deal. Ray returned him like a lost parcel, and Thiru got a royal spanking. One day in 1974, young Thiru decided to help out by siphoning petrol, because nothing says future genius like putting a fuel pipe in your mouth. He inhaled a mouthful, then screamed as if he'd swallowed a firecracker. Enter Grandma Chitti, armed with her magic cure, fresh milk. Yes, while some kids were sipping Milo, Thiru was drinking milk to recover from his first fuel poisoning. At age 9, we knew this boy ran on premium. Once, Auntie Mari made samosas and brought them over to Thiru's house. One tiny problem: they were not fried yet. To the average person, this would be disappointing. To Thiru and Vano, his younger sister, it was a challenge. They took the raw samosas to the garage, climbed into the big truck, and ate them raw, giggling like criminals. It was disgusting and delicious and legendary. Thiru's childhood involved guiding a stubborn mule named Deman while his dad plowed behind. Now imagine this: a tiny kid guiding a mule the size of a couch. Left, right, straight, stop. At times, Deman decided to run off to visit other mules in the area. Thiru, ever the mule whisperer, would chase it down with the workers, drag it back like a cowboy, and still make it to school. Modern kids complain about catching buses. Thiru was chasing livestock before breakfast. Thiru started driving at age 8. Not toy cars, real ones. By 12, he could drive the van, truck, and tractor like a pro. One day, the van fell into a ditch. His dad said, "Figure it out," and walked off like a motivational speaker. Thiru looked around, hooked up the tractor, and saved the day. His driving license? Not needed. His confidence? Unlimited. Childhood was lit. Games included hopscotch, 3 tins, climbing trees, and noughts and crosses. Thiru was like a jungle ninja, climbing mango and mandarin trees while dodging chores. When he wasn't in a tree, he was busy milking cows or taking the goats out to graze. Thiru was a doting older brother, but he also loved mucking about with his siblings. On one occasion, Thiru and Ashley, his younger brother, were asked by their mum to carry a bag of mealie meal into the house. They dragged the 12 kg bag from the garage floor like it weighed 200 kg. On the way to the house, the sack got a tear and the mealie meal started pouring as they moved. Instead of finding a way to seal it, they decided to just make the tear bigger, pour it all on the floor, and start drawing designs on the ground. They both got whacked with the hosepipe. Sash, the youngest of the siblings, was buzzing around the house with a beloved doll, Rosie. She took it everywhere. Well, Thiru had had enough. "It's just a doll," he muttered one day, and while Sash was not looking, he hid Rosie. Sash searched everywhere. She even asked the chickens if they had seen her. Eventually, Sash opened the freezer looking for ice blocks, and her scream could have defrosted the freezer. And there, between the fish and the frozen peas, was Rosie, her beloved doll. Now let's talk about school. Thiru took his big brother role very seriously. He took care of crybaby Vano when she started school. She used to follow him everywhere, including into the boys' toilets. One rainy morning, the river was flooded. So Thiru and his siblings, Vano and Logi, had to walk through the sugarcane fields to get to school. Thiru told Logi and Vano, "Put your foot exactly where I put mine." They did, but the mud had other plans. When they lifted their foot, their shoe stayed behind, and they wore white socks. Thiru just kept walking like a war hero with his troops in tow. One fine school morning, Thiru climbed a Madoni tree. Not after school, before school. Why? Because he could. Unfortunately, so could his teacher, with a cane. After finishing metric, Thiru worked with a local electrical company training to be a sparky. He privately attended training at Sugar Association Industrial Training Center at Mount Edgecombe. He was a first-class student and obtained the highest mark in class. He started his apprenticeship at Gleadow Sugar Mill in January 1985 and qualified in 1989. His pay was a whopping 351 rands per month. After his qualification, he worked at Sepref Refinery in Isipingo and a few other jobs in between before returning to Gleadow Sugar Mill. As expected, Thiru became the family and friends' designated fridge and stove repairer. In between being a sparky and perhaps inspired by their samosa escapade, Thiru and Vano attended catering school at Sastry College for 8 weekends and completed a baking and confectionery course. So if you need any tips on making the best pastries, you know who to ask. In 1989, Thiru married Vasantha, a beautiful young lady from Springfield, Durban. They have 2 gorgeous boys. In 1992, along came Keshan, and in 1996, Reeson. But before all that, in 1994, the family packed up and moved to Australia. From sugarcane fields to Sydney suburbs, Thiru swapped the mule for golf and the petrol pipe for fishing. Thiru is a man who's seen both sides of life. Life with a plow and a mule. Life with Wi-Fi and willies. He's lived off the land and now lives off the cloud. He's the guy who once ate a raw samosa in a truck and now reads the news on a laptop while eating his favorite fruits, cherries and dragon fruit. So here we are, 60 years later. Thiru, the petrol-powered, mule-wrangling, raw samosa eating, van-driving legend, is now surrounded by family, stories, and a lifetime of laughter. He's still the one you'd want by your side if a mule escaped or your van got stuck. Happy 60th, Anna. You're not getting older, you're just gaining more horsepower.